Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is G. You're watching Allastrology, and this is the week of November 10th, 2025, and the following 7 days. And we got Jupiter and Mercury on the screen, and Uranus. They're pretty much the focus. And Saturn is also very important here because Saturn's doing its retrograde it's sitting at 25 degrees. It's sitting still. Saturn energy is rules and discipline and order and structure. It has a goal. It has a goal. That's Saturn. It's all about its goals and the steps it has to take to reach those goals. That's Saturn energy. It's usually boss energy. You know, the head person in charge knows all the steps, even though it might not know like the minutia stuff. It has a general outline of the things that all the points, all the goals, each little mini goals that have to be hit, right? So that we can get that bigger end game goal. And that's that Saturn energy. It's based on a long-term plan, a long-term commitment, some say, because it wants the, material, tangible, financial security. With Saturn, it's all about what is this building? What is it building? What is it working towards? It's building for something, right? And so it's tricky energy when it's in a Pisces thing because Pisces isn't material and tangible. It's very opposite of that. And Pisces is really more about beliefs and spirituality and creativity and religion. It's not something I can hold in my hand. It's like stuff that I see, that I feel, that I understand. You get it? Saturn is totally opposite. It says, show me the bricks, show me the sticks, show me the money in the bank, show me what that got you. Let me see the car, let me see the house, right? Very material and tangible. All right, long-term goals. So at 25 degrees, this Saturn energy in Pisces, we think of institutional energy for Pisces as well, and public figures and actors and actresses and, performances, very performative on the stage. I even put on a political face or, whatever my character is, whatever role I'm playing is, yeah, you think of how a musician gets on stage and they might put on makeup or dress a certain way on stage, but they probably don't do that regularly, in their regular walk of life. It's part of the entertainment. It's part of the impression they want to leave upon you. That's all that Pisces energy. But healing institutions is a big one with Pisces. Healing institutions, we think hospitals, for sure. It's also our government when we have like Neptune and Saturn there, and we see Neptune, of course, is here. But we're focusing on Saturn because it's sitting at this 25 degrees. Now, the 25 is the Aries degree. We're starting something. And in this case, this is more of a restart in a sense because Saturn was already here. Saturn went into Aries and it came back. So this Saturn is a restart. It's restarting something. And it might be restarting something that it already did before. So that's why I use the word restart as opposed to just starting something. But there was a story actually that was not being told, right? Because this all happened in Pisces. So there was really a behind the scenes plan, a behind the scenes goal. That would be Saturn in Pisces, a behind the scenes plan, behind the scenes goal. And so to make all these massive cuts that were made, it was for what reason? Why would you take money out of why would you take food out of the mouth of children in your own country and of course worldwide? But why would you take education? Why would you take funds from those things from your own constituents? Why would you take healthcare from your own constituents and close hospitals? It was the behind the scenes plan. You follow? And so that was when we think about our boss at our job, right? Your company that you work for, what's the bottom line? The bottom line is the bottom line. That's the most important thing, isn't it? At the end of the month, at the end of the year, that they hit those goals. And that includes cutting people, laying people off, firing people, whatever they got to do, right? However, they got to cut costs. So unfortunately, hopefully with Neptune there and with Jupiter in over here in the Cancer energy, I'm hoping Jupiter is also in a fight energy. It's in Aries, so we'll see what happens. So we're hoping and we're waiting for Jupiter to begin its retrograde, because when that retrograde begins, I think we're going to see that will be when Jupiter is stronger. And likely we can see, hopefully, some more beneficial things in our life, at least some things that are for humanity. Okay. You see now Mercury and Mars here are conjunct. Mercury's a real fast mover, but it's going backwards. Mercury began its retrograde just a day or 2 days when was it? Sunday, yesterday, because this is for Monday and the following 7 days. So just the day before, the Mercury retrograde began at that 6 degrees, and that's work. That's the job market. That's Virgo energy. It's healthcare. It's the minutia and the daily routines. And if for sure, with Jupiter, the ruler, we think immigration and what the migrant workers, the migrant workforce and all that they've supplied and all that they do. And anyway, it's kind of exhausting, but Mercury's doing a retrograde here. And so it's in the justice system because it's in Saggy. It's also traveling, though. But we think of going on vacation with Sagittarius. We think of courtrooms and lawyers and judges with Sagittarius energy. Also religion and spirituality, but the beliefs and freedoms. Freedom is a big one, especially with Mars here now. Mars at 4, so the public gets triggered and there's news, so likely firearms and within the Supreme Court and rulings and whatnot. So we'll be hearing more about this because Mars is going to go forward, Mercury's going backwards, but it's a retrograde. So Mercury's going to go back. It goes from 6 degrees to 20 degrees of Scorpio. So if you have to make decisions, you're waiting until Mercury comes back to this 6 degrees of Saggy. You want it to get to 7 before you have to make any major decisions. All right. So we're going to go ahead and see that the sun is in Scorpio, and it's going to stay in Scorpio for the next 7 days. The sun moves 1 degree a day. So that means the sun will get to about 25 degrees in Scorpio at the end of this week by Monday. Okay. And more Scorpio energy, which is insurance money, which is intense, deep emotions. It's powerful energy. The ruler is Mars and Pluto. So very powerful energy. We can think of trauma and hurts and wounds. And the sun is here, which is authority figures. And so we're focused on turf. We're focused on somebody in charge of shared values. And right now, as I'm recording this, the government shutdown for the U.S. just began, and the fight is about keeping people, especially the most vulnerable, keeping them with their health care, as opposed to taking all of that away. And this is insurance and shared values and money. So, we can only hope that somehow there will be a compromise. I will add with that, the compromise energy has kind of left. Like the fight is really on now because it's now Venus. And of course, you see Venus also at 4 degrees, right? Venus and Mars both at 4. Venus is at 4, and she is in the spicy energy of Scorpio, which is, I'm not going to back down. I'm here and I'm going to fight. And so Venus will get to 13 degrees by the end of the week. This can make this Venus energy, which normally is all about harmony and peace, but she's in her detriment in Scorpio. Venus isn't, this is penis. Yeah, exactly. Penis. Let me make sure and see if I hit the record button on this. I'm talking and I don't even know if we're recording. Oh yeah, we are. Okay. Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, because you got to hit it twice. And anyhow, where'd that chart go? All right. So we'll just stick with the penis. So she's spicy because she is combative. She's going to be impatient. And conjunct this one, Oh, Lord. It really will be a battle. So for the squares, right? Squares are going to the Leo energy, squares go to the Aquarius energy. And even for the oppositions to Taurus energy, just be aware of the stress and tension and the just intense, deep emotions with the Scorpio energy that's triggered here. All right. So yeah, you see that when we back it up a little bit, there's some stuff in the Libra energy which wants to be diplomatic. But hopefully, before this happened, hopefully, before Venus made her move, hopefully they squared all that away. But I'm doubtful, to be honest. So when Jupiter does begin its retrograde, which, we're going to talk about this right here, Jupiter on the 11th, on November 11th, Jupiter begins a retrograde. Right. Starts retrograding at 25 degrees. You see? So it goes from 25 to 15 degrees in the sign of Cancer. And it's going to be a minute before it gets to that 15. So the Jupiter retrograde, this can be a time when if there wasn't, or if there was a lack of diplomacy and they couldn't make a deal, when Jupiter goes retrograde, there might be a deal on the table and it might pass because this is what the public wants. And there's a lot of energy in the chart for the public and starting something new. Okay. Even though there can be some restarts, you see? So the 25 degrees and not giving up the fight is pretty strong all over the place. So now Jupiter's going to do that retrograde November 11th, and it stays retrograding all the way until March of 2026. So I'm hoping and praying that with that retrograde, it's going to be more beneficial energy, where things will be less chaotic and that the justice system will step up and stick to the Constitution. We talked about this last week. Uranus is now in the Taurus energy. It's still doing its retrograde, but it's now in Taurus. This is your money and your finances. And Uranus can be shocks and surprises. It can be disruptive. It is technology. It is an authority figure, but it's usually meant to shake up what's been kind of stuck. Things that are just like, like a piece of some, I remember one friend telling me it's there to shatter all that has been crystallized, all that has sat for so long, it's started to form crystals on it. Uranus comes through and it shatters it all. And it says, we just got to figure out a different way. We've been doing it the same old for so long. So Uranus at 29 degrees in Taurus, money, finances, food, the earth, our values, my love and my desires. That is the Uranian disruptive energy in all things Taurus, farming and banking. And with that and this digital stuff, we think of crypto, we think of Bitcoin. But what about Venus? Because Venus rules this. Where is she? You already saw. She's in Scorpio. Spicy Venus in Scorpio of shared values, insurance money. This is also that old blood money stuff, coal and oil and, just stuff where people were enslaved and used and abused to make money for others, right? So this energy can bring up a lot of the past, and it definitely is just embedded with old school values, but a fight for that stuff. So this can prove to be quite disruptive in general because that's Uranus's job, to be disruptive.